Today, we're going to talk about something a bit painful. We're going to talk about the reason why you're still not fluent and still not confident in French. There's different ways that we can tackle this topic. And today, I'm going to talk about the way you learn. So I'm going to start with a simple question. When you do an activity, when you do an exercise, when do you stop? Do you stop after you've completed the exercise, once you've done it correctly? Or do you revisit the same activity until you can do it effortlessly? So I really want you to pay attention to today's episode because this way of approaching your learning and your practice is going to help you take your French to the next level. Welcome to Quirky French Podcast, the podcast that helps you speak more confidently, feel more focused, and be more in control of your French learning journey. Prêt? C'est parti! Bonjour, salut, and welcome to episode 46 of Quirky French Podcast, the podcast that will help you become a confident speaker and a fluent speaker of French. I'm your coach Naima from quirkyfrench.com, and today's all about fluency, all about learning strategies, and really talking about your learning approach. How you approach your learning, how you practice is really critical. It really determines your outcome and your fluency overall. Completed tasks that you can do correctly or that you can do comfortably should not be overlooked, right? Because doing a task correctly is barely the goal, okay? This is the bare minimum. And I'm sure we all have this issue every once in a while. We learn something in a controlled environment. So we're doing an exercise, like an isolated exercise. And then when it's time to apply what we've learned in the real world, we actually lose everything because we haven't taken the time to work on the effortlessness, on the automatization of that skill. Okay? When I give you a task to complete, for me, in my head, I'm kind of ticking the box and I'm thinking, okay, my student has learned something, not when you can do it correctly or comfortably, but when you can do it deliberately, automatically, and effortlessly. And this is one of the major differences between most learners and highly successful learners, fluent learners, okay? So let me give you an example. So one of the things that I often see among students, let's say that you're working on your R sound, or shall I say your R sounds? And if you don't know what I mean, you can check out episode 33, where I'm teaching you exactly what to do to nail the 3 R sounds. Okay, so let's just say that you're practicing your R sound and you're at the stage when you can produce each R sound pretty well. You do it well, you do it easily. And on the face of it, it looks like a good thing. Now, here's the downside. Because you can complete the task correctly, you stop paying attention to the task. You kind of take it for granted. You might get bored, or you might assume that, you can move to a task that's slightly more difficult. Now, the real question is, can you do it effortlessly and automatically? Do you remember to apply the same muscle tension and to focus on the back of your throat every single time when you use the language spontaneously? Or are you back at, using the English R when you read something out loud or when you speak spontaneously? So don't underestimate a task that you can complete correctly. Don't assume that because you can do it easily or correctly that you're done. You're not done yet. Your goal is not just to get it right. Your goal is to build up the effortlessness and to integrate what you've learned into your own communication, your own voice. So doing something correctly and feeling comfortable is good, but this is just step 1. So now let's talk about the stages of learning. Perhaps in the past you thought about 2 stages of learning. The difficult stage where you're not skilled yet and you're still learning a lot. It's kind of that stage where everything is a little bit difficult and you have to concentrate a lot and you still don't know, what it is that you're supposed to do to become skilled. And the second stage, almost like a before and after, being the moment where, you can do it correctly and you know what you're supposed to do it well. But now I want to offer a third stage, the expert stage, where you can do it effortlessly. You have to think about languages as a task that engages so much of yourself, your brain, your body. There is so much going on. You want to be able to multitask without realizing that you're multitasking. And so if you don't build up the effortlessness, you're always going to be really slow when you have a conversation. Think a little bit of driving a car. There is so much involved. You have to stay focused on the road. You can't, always look at the steering wheel and down on your pedals. You don't want to have to spend time processing everything you do. You want to be able to multitask and be relaxed and do everything effortlessly. And it's the same thing with fluency. So really think about learning as a 3-step process. The stage where you get it wrong, the stage where you get it right, and the stage where you can do it automatically and effortlessly. If you dedicate time to effortlessness instead of focusing on doing things correctly, I promise you, you will become fluent. You will be amazed by the results you're able to generate just by thinking about your own learning as a 3-step process. I think you'll see how much happens in your brain as well and in your own feelings of owning what you know, and that's going to help you so much with your confidence as well. So I really want you to experiment with this. I want you to have a look at it and let me know how that goes. So I'm going to leave you with that for today. That's all I've got. I wish you a beautiful week and I will catch up with you next week for another episode of Quirky French Podcast. And in the meantime, as always, keep learning, keep growing, and keep it quirky. Allez, à la semaine prochaine et à bientôt. Salut!